Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our Sunday prep. Father Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you doing, Jim? I mean, everything is like spring is here. Like I was telling you about, my putting things away, and I really did.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yes, I'm doing great.
yeah.
Everything is being fine. The best to my abilities. My mind is still with my family and my heart most especially. So
Yeah.
everything is just popping up, but Christ is with me, and God is with me, and that's what keeps me going, and the hope is just going more stronger and stronger to trust in the Lord. So yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I mean, there's nothing going on.
Yeah. Well, given the
That sounds.
situation of the world and your family's close proximity to those very dangerous situations, sometimes when it's nice and
Yeah.
quiet, that's really, really good news. So hopefully it stays nice and quiet for your family and for everyone else who's kind of close to danger.
Yeah, and today, as we are recording this video, I'm saying it today. Our president, Joe Biden is visiting Poland, to speak, and visit, our people here from United States, helping Poland and all Ukrainians, to defend themselves and do whatever they need. So I mean, everyone is helping. So the love is being shared, and care. So I'm really in so many ways grateful, that all this is happening. So,
Yeah.
but I'm probably bringing it all up because today was consecration of Russia and
Yeah.
Ukraine and everything. So my mind was really with my people, and I can say that easily, and I miss it so much. So anyway, go back to reality of our heavenly reality. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We give everything to the Lord and to His holy will. but uh,
Amen.
but we'll take a look. We'll get into the readings. We've got we're on the fourth Sunday of Lent now, and so we're kind of are we at the halfway point, or maybe even a little past the halfway point? I think,
We
right?
we
We've passed
already
the halfway.
passed it.
We've already passed the halfway point. I feel like Lent is it feels always like a blur. Like it always feels like at the start of Lent, like it's gonna go on forever and the penances will never end. And then when it's over, you're like, that was so fast. I wish I had done more. So yeah, maybe now is a good time to kind of recalibrate where we're at in Lent. But let's take a look at the readings. This Sunday, the gospel reading that we're going to hear is I don't know, people will ask me and Father Matt, maybe they ask you too. I'm sure they do ask you, what's your favorite Bible passage? And whenever I'm asked that question, I never can think of a good one. I'm always like as if I've never heard of the Bible before. I can't think of anything. But I think the story that we're going to hear on Sunday, the story of the prodigal son, is a story that it's got to be in the top five or so. It's up there, and it might be one of the most commented on passages in the entire Bible throughout the centuries. There's so much richness in it. It's a story that I think we're all familiar with. And so I want to just highlight at the very beginning of this parable. There's a line that struck me, and it struck me a couple of months ago, and I've been sitting with it, and I was kind of excited to see that the readings were this story because I finally get to maybe share a thought on this because it's been, I guess, profound or moving to me, and I just kind of wonder where the Lord's leading it. And so, taking a look at the very beginning of this, we see that it says, "A man had two sons, and the younger son said to the father, 'Father, give me the share of the inheritance that should come to me.' So the father divided the property between them." And then it says, "After a few days, the younger son collected his belongings and set off to a distant country." And so the little bit that struck me is the little detail where it says "after a few days." And so I guess my thought would be something like this: what happened in that household when the younger son, makes this, bold claim to his father, right? We all kind of know the reflections. He had no rightful claim to the inheritance. An inheritance comes, formally speaking, when your parents die, so he's essentially saying, "Dad, I wish you were dead." So it's such a moment of conflict for him to say, "Father, give this to me now." But then he lingers in the house for a couple of days. And I just think that's a really interesting thought. So I wonder, I wonder what that's like. What was the younger son doing? What was the father trying to reconcile with him there? Was there fighting? Where they kind of go to their separate rooms? And it made me wonder, in my own relationships, and my relationship with my wife, it comes out because it's the most significant relationship I have in this world. But it happens in other relationships too, where, there's a moment of conflict with somebody. Maybe it could be, somebody you work with, a friend, someone you socialize with, a family member. And there's a moment of conflict, some kind of irritation where you kind of get on each other's nerves. And then it kind of stews for a little while. We kind of, maybe should apologize, but we don't. And we kind of let that little rejection or sin or conflict kind of brew for a little bit until it finally, shatters the relationship, or causes an even bigger blow up or fight. And it's a really interesting thought, because the younger son stays in the father's house for a few days, assuming that the relationship was not totally severed. In a sense, maybe we could think of it like this: it was a kind of venial sin, him saying these terrible words to his father, "Give me my share of the inheritance." But the mortal sin came when he finally broke out and left his father's house. And I wonder what that's like in our spiritual lives. We sometimes, I think, are very comfortable in our venial sins, our smaller sins, because we look at them as like, and I'll speak for myself, I get very comfortable sometimes in, laziness or, prideful selfishness. And I think, well, it's just this, whatever, it's a small thing, or, I'm entitled to that, or I deserve this. And I have these small little things, but those small things start to accumulate. And after a few days, there's a potential rupture. And so I think there's some kind of, details in this that the Lord might be communicating, maybe to all of us, or to me. I know at least there's something worth reflecting on of, how does those moments of sin, those moments of kind of conflict with the Lord, where I reject or I fight or I struggle, but yet I haven't left the Father's house, so to speak. But when I don't resolve them, I don't come before the Lord and say, "Lord, I'm sorry." One of the practices, and I'll try not to go too much longer, but one of the practices in the church that's a great, I guess devotional would be the daily examine, right? The daily examination of conscience at the end of the day. And it can be something very simple. It could be something as simple as saying, "Lord, I'm sorry for my sins of the day," or, kind of being mindful of these little imperfections or struggles or sins, because if we don't kind of clean out that garbage, it tends to build up, and then we find ourselves, sadly sometimes, leaving the Father's house and kind of breaking and severing our relationship with the Lord. And of course, that's where we're most at risk and most at danger in the spiritual life. So, maybe there's something in there to kind of reflect on. And, Father, I know you have lots of thoughts on this, because this story is so rich and so beautiful. So Father, what are your maybe thoughts or reflections on this gospel?
Well, the example you have given, it actually, like, for myself, I really understand, the share of the richness of my parents. Like, I grew up on a farm, so it always comes, the time when parents share with their children, right? So, and I'm the oldest one. So to me comes the primary, what I'm going to get. And you really brought, with this example, my family home, when my parents were ready to pass it down, their property, and they asked me, and my siblings, which part of all this we want to get. And I had to say nothing. And it felt kind of weird to myself, and I know I'm changing what we were talking about before, but you really struck me with what you said. It just rings the bell, when I had to say, I'm not taking anything of what you're giving me. And I could feel at that very moment from my parents, like, I'm disgraceful, I do not appreciate I reject what they worked for, but that was not my intention, because simply because of my way of life. And I know that if I will take that property in maybe in different way, I will squander it, like I will destroy it, because I will not be able to use it. So I will destroy it too. So where my thoughts right now are going, which changed with my original thought that I was thinking to share with you today, is actually the awake. At this very moment, my siblings have received, and I know they will be taking care of what my parents have been doing, okay, on the farm, right? But for me, being 6,000, 5,000, 6,000 miles away, I'm not able to do it. So if I would have taken it, I will simply waste the land, right? I will simply waste what God could provide for, not only for the families there, but also for myself. And so I actually right now I see it in a very different picture. So see how wisdom of God works. And I some ways saw it before, but not as clear. So anyway, going to our gospel passage, this son have asked to take this property, to take what his father worked for and what he had. And we know the story that continues, and he just wasted it. Okay. And then we see what we have been brought in our families, in our households, right? And we see it, and then we will say, well, we haven't taken anything from our home, from my parents or my grandparents, whatever. And we say that very often too, right? But when the time goes and we have our own families, we have our own experiences, or we are like, okay, they were right. Okay, they were saying that, but I didn't listen, right? It's very simple, and I see it myself too. And I know I have become a priest, and I cannot take anything of that. But then too, I could have made that mistake too, to take what my parents are giving me in selfishness, because okay, that belongs to me, right? I'm the firstborn, like our tradition, our history says the first son is the one who takes everything, right? The same was with the kings, the same was with princes. So everyone was, the first one. But to see, what can be done with it, that's what should lead us every single day. And so it really opened myself too, that this seed that God is planting through me today may not be today, but it will be in next generation. Okay, what God has given me through His parenthood may not come today, but it will come tomorrow. And then through what God has worked through me today, it will come in today, or maybe tomorrow, or in another generation. But it never goes to waste. God always see the future. God always see what can come. So whatever He's giving us is for tomorrow, not for yesterday. And that's a beautiful thing to think about, because even the earth, when He has given the earth to our first parents, He didn't say, okay, take care of it today and you don't worry about tomorrow. He was saying, multiply, go and multiply all over the earth. He was seeing tomorrow. And so the question that really comes to my mind right now, which is coming right now, and you can see how I'm even speaking, because it's just coming down to me, And to my question right now is, how do I see tomorrow? Is it really what I have worked and I have given myself today to bring tomorrow, or is it okay? It's another tomorrow, because tomorrow is unknown. Today we know what we feel, what we can give, and so maybe I went a little bit too far, you know, with this, but that's what I feel like coming out, you know, from this couple days that the sun stayed. That's what meditation should come and should reflect what we have and what we can give. So that's my meditation. That's what popped to my head. I love it, actually.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's you know, we always say how you know, the scriptures kind of come alive, and you know, as you're talking or as I'm talking, there's kind of a you know, whatever the Lord wants to kind of communicate. So we hope that, you know, for anyone who's at home watching or or listening, that, you know, the Lord might speak to you also, and kind of to see where the scriptures are leading you, where the Lord wants to lead you. I know there's so much richness in general in the Bible, but of course in our Sunday readings, and in this Sunday readings, I think particularly. So, you know, sit with them, reflect with them, pray with them, and see how the Lord wants to kind of call you in a very particular and unique way. So we're glad that you're here, and you know, we look forward to seeing all of you on Sunday in church.
God bless you, and we'll see you all on Sunday. And may the Lord be with you all.
And with your spirit. Bye, everyone.
Bye.